Yes, we got some stuff to talk about. This is going to be sort of a little mini rant video, not a huge one. I don't try to get very negative or anything like that on this channel, but this is going to be a little bit of a rant video because of some of the discourse that's going on and what is transpiring with the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and also the Friday the 13th Camp Crystal Lake TV show that's coming out. Today you're going to hear some thoughts on it, more detailed, in depth from your boy NornRad89. So let's do this. Roll it. So yes, recently over the last few months, we've been hearing news about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the rights for the franchise being up for bid. I believe at the time it was A24, Taylor Sheridan at Paramount, Monkey Paw, and also I think there was Glenn Powell was involved too as well, I think, and he was trying to get him and Neon were trying to grab the rights, and it's not set in stone, it's not confirmed. All the stuff that I looked up is literally just people reacting to this or stuff on Reddit, and it's saying that A24 is literally the front runner for the rights for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and that they're trying to target the director of Strange Darling as the director for the film, but they also want to take it to television as well. So there's a little bit of mixed thoughts and everything, but this is all currently just rumors. I didn't find any official stuff or anything like that saying that A24 was the company grabbing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I was more here just to talk about the discourse because I'm a supporter of A24. I'm a huge fan of them. Like, you're not going to hear any really negative things when it comes to me from my channel on my thoughts of A24. There are some films that I don't like by them. Of course, Enemy is one that I don't like, and I know that's a very popular one starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I dislike that movie. There are some I don't like, but in terms of supporting the company, I think A24 is a company that has, over the last decade or so, given us some of the greatest films in general. Like, I don't even say not just horror films. I'm a huge horror fan, and I'm not saying just horror films, but like we've gotten Hereditary from them, X. We've also got Everything Everywhere All at Once. So there's a ton of films that have come out from A24 over the last decade that have been phenomenal films, and they've been one of the best production companies. So I don't really understand the discourse that they don't want Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be a part of A24. And I know maybe it's because we have Friday the 13th, the franchise, we have Camp Crystal Lake, a TV show that is going to be under the A24 banner, that maybe some people just want variety and all that stuff, but we still do have the Scream franchise. They're off on radio silence. If we ever do get more Nightmare on Elm Street films, that's going to be, a different company as well. We got Michael Myers. They just did their whole jam, with some Blumhouse, and, Trancas gave the rights over to that. So it's like, we don't know who's going to get involved with that next. But like I said, even Hellraiser went to Hulu. So there's other avenues for other horror films and other stuff and other franchises if you want to go check those out. Me, as a fan of A24 and as a fan of Friday the 13th and also a huge fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, I don't see why we can't have an era of A24 for these two franchises. I mean, Paramount got their shot. New Line Cinema got their shot. When it comes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, New Line, Canon, frickin' Platinum Dunes. There's been so many companies that have gotten their shot, and even Platinum Dunes did the remakes for a lot of these films and stuff. And why not give A24 a shot and have their opportunity to helm the next era of these two franchises? I don't see why people are upset. The only thing I can understand, or my perspective of seeing somebody's side, is that they don't like A24. If you're somebody who is 80% of the films that come out of that company, you don't like them, then I can understand you being upset. But in terms of you just not wanting Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be under the same company, that to me is asinine. And I feel this is a huge opportunity for the Camp Crystal Lake TV show, but also Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And even if they do go to television, which I don't see why a lot of people are upset about that either, because right now we are in the second golden era of television. We have so many streaming services, but then again, that's the problem. We have so many streaming services, and that's the fact, is why we need so much content, why there's so many television shows, because you can have a television show and that's going to fill out, 8 to 9 to 10 hours of content on your streaming service or whatever you're partnered with. Whereas if you're just a movie, that's what, an hour and a half to a 2 hour and a half movie, and then that's over. And then so it literally just equates to more watch time if you're a television show. And that's why we are living in a second golden era of television. That's why we have Alien Earth, we have the Chucky TV show, we have Welcome to Derry, Camp Crystal Lake, and now we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, rumored of course, possibly being under the A24 banner and being introduced as a television show first. And like I said, it's because of all the streaming services, and that's the era that we are living in now as consumers. So I know some of this stuff is kind of frustrating to hear, so I understand some people's point of view, like the discourse as to, like said, why do we have to do a television show, you know what I mean? And also, why does it, maybe if you are not a fan of A24, you're thinking that they're gonna take these franchises and maybe do some high level stuff or do some intricate new things or anything like that. But it's like A24 deserves a shot. They're a production company that, like I said, has been producing some of the best films over the last decade, and they're very creative, and they give their writers and directors a lot of free reign. So I feel like that's a great thing for me. Me as a fan of both of these franchises, I am absolutely excited, and I really do hope that Texas Chainsaw Massacre goes to A24. If any other one that I wanted him to go to, it was Taylor Sheridan at Paramount, and that's because he's such a great writer when it comes to Yellowstone and, like I said, 1893 and all that stuff. Like, Taylor Sheridan's just a good writer. Sicario, so I trust that. But when it comes to A24 as a production company, I trust them more as a whole. So like I said, this was just a mini rant video, nothing too crazy or too serious. I didn't want to drop a lot of negative stuff or anything. I just wanted to give my opinions and my thoughts on the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre news, and also Camp Crystal Lake, and why I'm excited for it and why I'm such a supporter of A24. And I think they're a production company that still needs to stay around, and I think they're keeping cinema alive. Like, for real, there's so many creative writers and directors that are getting a chance to shine because A24 is picking up the rights to their films and putting them out in theaters and all that kind of stuff, but also physical media. That's why I love A24 too, is they actually put out their films on physical media, or they give out the rights to them. Whereas places like Netflix, you know, we still have tons of films that are trapped on streaming because of Netflix, or even Hulu and stuff like that. Hulu Hellraiser, you know what I mean? Unless you buy the bootleg. Kate is a fantastic film that to me rivals John Wick, and it is stuck on Netflix streaming service, does not have a physical media release unless you go out and get a bootleg. So that's what I mean. Like, that's the kind of stuff that irks me and bothers me. And A24 is a company that puts out great creative movies, puts out horror movies, and actually does physical media releases of them too. So I'm always going to be a supporter of them. So definitely hope they are going to for sure grab the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But please let me know down below in the comment section, what are your thoughts and your opinions? These are just mine, and let's keep it light, you know, down below, not trying to argue or fight or anything like that. We want to keep it nice and cordial. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz that greatly helps out the channel. But most importantly, I want y'all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.